On today's episode of The Intangibles, we'll be kicking things off as always with the play of the game. At 9:19, we'll choose the Hottie of the week and the little bitch of the day. At 17:41, we'll break down our tier list of professional sports championship structures. And finally at 47:10, we'll play Birdie, Bogey, or Par. Welcome back to the Intangizone.
The droppables. All right, now we're talking.
It's Kenny and it's Matt. We're back at it again after a little bit of a hiatus. I'm excited to record.
Yeah, it's been a while. I like it's been so long, which really isn't that long, but it's been so long that even prepping for today was its own task. But I am excited as well. I feel like we're going to talk for like 2 hours, but we'll see how it goes.
I think we'll go for exactly 55 minutes, which is our usual.
I apologize, dear listeners. I'm mildly ill right now.
You sound raspy. You sound good.
Got my sexy voice on.
Leonard Peebley after dark.
No, we can't put that on public broadcasting.
Well, let's kick things off with the play of the game.
Poke chat, poke chat.
All right, Matt, you lead us off here. Who gets your play of the game?
Oh, it's not who, Kenny, but what.
Ooh.
This week, my play of the game nominee is our wonderful soaking tub that we have upstairs. And the reason I nominate this tub, last Monday, I was doing some stuff at home, and I can't pinpoint any specific thing that I did, but that night we were feeding our daughter Addie dinner, and when I went to stand up from the kitchen table, my back was like seized up. You know that feeling where your back is just like instantly tight. You can't feel like you can move very far. And it concerned me a lot for several reasons, because one, it's just uncomfortable to have a bad back. But
sure, primarily
because it was Thanksgiving week and we were going to be traveling to Mom and Dad's and to visit you and our sisters. And with a bad back, it's pretty hard to play disc golf. So I was pretty concerned. And Veronica suggested I take a nice hot bath with some Epsom salts, some bubbles, and I did that. And I felt good enough to play last week. I was still a little sore, but I think it helped immensely. The change from standing up from the table to like the next morning was pretty drastic. So,
do you think you're going to make baths a regular part of your life now?
I don't know about that.
Or is it like a special thing when you tweak something?
I would say regular if I'm feeling just downtrodden or sore or something, if that makes sense. It probably won't be like every week I do it necessarily, but if I ever feel any sort of muscle pains or aches, I'll probably do it.
Well, this is nice. I know now I can get you for special occasions some like bath salts and some candles and some bath bombs maybe.
It'd be great. I'd love it.
Yeah. Well, this is your chance to ask me who I nominated.
And who did you nominate, Kenny?
It's what I nominated, Matt. A perfect setup and a perfect payoff. I am nominating the League of Legends Instant Feedback Report system.
Oh.
Because it is coming through in a big, strong way recently, and I really like it.
Got some real shitheads you've been playing with?
I mean, that is no different than normal. But what's different is that the system seems to be working. So when you play competitive League of Legends online, you're, of course, playing a team-based game with random people online, so there's a bunch of bad actors out there that you have to interact with. So recently, the League season wrapped up for 2022. Jaren and I were hitting the Rift late season, trying to grind, trying to get those last few ranks up. And we got matched with a teammate who was playing well and was actually the most fed member of the team. So they were doing good stuff. But when things started to go badly, they were spamming the surrender vote, which everyone on our team was like, no, we still have this. So the person who should be doing the carrying is like, I don't want to play anymore, basically. We all declined it, time after time. After the third failed surrender vote, they quit. They just left the game. The voice announcer comes up, a summoner has disconnected. They left. Their character walks in base. Now it's 4v5. You know, we've played tons of Overwatch. When you lose a teammate, it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
we wound up winning that game, actually. And then Jaren and I reported them, and we took a little break, like both went to the restroom. I think we got lunch and then came back. And we got a report back that they had been punished for leaving the game. And it felt like just divine justice from above. It's great. I love the instant feedback report. We've been getting a lot of it recently, where we've had twice in the last few days teammates telling us to go kill ourselves, which is always just a treat and a treasure. And they've gotten punished both times. I would like more of this. I would like to see chat logs of the people who are getting punished, and I want a description of how they're being punished. I want live footage from their webcams, seeing them like rage at opening and seeing the report. Anything and everything. I would love more of that, please.
So now you're on to just a new form of entertainment right there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. If the report system, if their response to you was just like a randomized, like, we did it, and nothing actually happened behind the scenes, would you know?
No. There's no way to know if it's not a placebo effect.
So if I ever make a game, I should make a system that will, some percent of the time, tell you that I punished somebody, and that'll make you at least feel better, even if I didn't actually do it.
I would say bare minimum, yes, because it does make me feel better.
And then my next question, do they tell you how they punish the players? I'm guessing no, but...
They don't. I think that would be an easy thing to add, because their punishments range from chat restrictions, which means that for some period of time, like a week or two, let's say, you can only type 3 messages in chat per game. To chat lockout, you just can't type in chat. To bans, or like you can't play for the next 24 hours, you can't play for the next 2 weeks. To permanent suspensions, you are just banned from the game.
I think, honestly, like, I would love to make that an actual thing where they tell you, because all of those penalties make a lot of sense to me in the specific scenarios, right? It's like the chat penalties are probably for people who are shitheads on chat, right?
Yeah.
And you completely remove that. Fine. I'm sure banning people are people who are actually throwing the games or leaving the games. And the more you do that, the more you stack that up, maybe that ban becomes longer, or maybe it becomes a suspension. And I don't know, they can give you the stats about that stuff and tell you what they did, and that would be kind of cool.
I would love that. I don't think there'd be any harm in it. I do think, I will say, you raised the possibility, and I've thought about this all the time, that it's just a placebo effect, that they're just telling me they're doing it. I think they really are, because the ones that tend to get real responses are when they use racial slurs, or when they threaten violence of some kind, or tell you to kill yourself or something. So I think they have algorithms that are scanning for these things, and those are just easy to be like, yeah, we saw kill yourself and we banned you. So, Yeah. So I do think it is actually doing something.
No, that's cool. We were talking about chat in competitive games over the weekend, and I still, find it interesting and sad and funny that the number one piece of advice for chat in those games essentially is turn it off. Just shut everybody up.
It's definitely true. It always pays off. All right, well, we will put that up for a vote on Twitter. If you look me up at Wolfmere or hashtag the Intangibles, you will be able to vote on what gets the play of the game. I'm 2-0 so far in these official votes.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder how official these votes are. I'm going to send the MyPillow guy after you to recount these things.
Oh, boy. Well, speaking of the little pillow guy, should we get to the Hottie of the Week / little bitch of the day?
Yeah, absolutely we should.
All right, who are you nominating Hottie / Baddie of the Week?
So my Hottie of the Week, my bad boy who's just having a good time this week, is Luigi. Have you seen any of the posters or the trailer for the Super Mario Bros. Movie that came out? Probably not. I imagine you're avoiding it.
I only saw the one that I think we've already talked about, where Jack Black was like yelling at some ice people or something.
So the first thing I saw, I think it was earlier last week maybe, was this character poster for Luigi. And it's a picture of Luigi just standing up, kind of tipping his hat up. And it says, Luigi, big and tall, kind of vertically next to him. And at the very top it says, you just got Luigi'd. And so I saw this and I laughed hysterically because I have no idea what the fuck they're trying to say. But then I've seen this become a wonderful meme, kind of online while people are talking about video games or Mario or the movie or whatever. And
you just got Luigi.
So the trailer got posted recently, and people were talking in the comments about this would be cool and that would be cool, and I want to see like a Luigi, I forget what they called it, but like his like face in Mario Kart that he makes when something bad happens to him. And somebody posted underneath that like, oh, it was included at 134 right here, and they link it, and you click on the link and it's the "You Just Got Luigi" poster. And I just love it. I can't wait to see more of it, and I don't know if Luigi's really having a good time, but he is absolutely my hottie of the week.
I like to see Luigi get some of the spotlight, because his whole shtick is he has to live in the shadow of Mario. So that's pretty great. Good for Luigi. My hottie of the week goes to little Alex Horn of Taskmaster fame. So as you mentioned, we just spent Thanksgiving with our family, and we watched a fair amount of Taskmaster, which if you don't know what Taskmaster is, I don't think we've ever talked about it on this show. Mm-mm. It is a British television show. It's a game show, put that in quotation marks. And the British version of game shows are strictly superior to the American game shows. Because American game shows feature random idiots playing for money. And British game shows feature hilarious comedians competing for nothing. Mm-hmm. Like literally nothing. And it's way more interesting and entertaining. And this show, Taskmaster, was created, devised, and co-hosted by Alex Horn. And basically, it pits 5 comedians against each other. It gives them random tasks. Like, you're put in a room with a watermelon, and the task is eat as much watermelon as you can in the next 2 minutes. That's all and that's all the information you have. And then you're rated on how well you perform by the Taskmaster, Greg Davies. And I just want to give credit to little Alex Horn for creating this wonderful thing that has added so much joy to my life and others' lives. And all the while, he is taking on the role of he kind of is the Luigi. He's taking on the role of the sidekick, you know?
Yeah.
This is a very good Intangibles Hottie of the Week segment.
And how many seasons have they done now?
I believe they're on like 14 or 15. And on YouTube, you can watch like 11 of them, I think, currently.
It's great. It's very bingeable. You'll get through a season in no time. I haven't really been disappointed in any of the seasons that I've watched, so.
It's great. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
So, going towards disappointment now.
Yes.
Who is your little bitch of the day?
All right. So my little bitch of the day. I've gone back to football, and I've selected Lamar Jackson as my little bitch of the day, and here's why. So Lamar Jackson is the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. He's a very good player. He's been trying to negotiate a new contract with them. It would be one of, if not the highest paid contracts in the NFL. It would be $250 million guaranteed money, which is huge. And so this is his final year before his contract's up, and they have to renegotiate. And so he's playing this year, and he's hoping, that his play shows that he deserves that and that he can get a big contract out of it. And so some random on the internet, after they lost this week to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are a middle-of-the-road team at best, it's teams like the Ravens, who are good, get very upset when they lose to these kind of teams. Right. So a rando on the internet tweets and says, when someone is asking for over $250 million guaranteed, like Lamar Jackson, games like this should not come to Justin Tucker, who's the kicker. So basically it came down to a field goal that they missed. Let Lamar walk and spend that money on a well-rounded team. And so I'm giving this to Lamar Jackson because in the heat of the moment, he decided he needed to respond to a random internet stranger. And he responded by saying, boy, shut the fuck up, STFU. Y'all be capping too much on this app, motherfucker. Never smelt a football field. Never did shit but eat dick. 2 exclamation marks. So he went off without really thinking about anything. told a guy basically, shut up. You don't even know about football. You never played. All you've ever done is eat dick, which is problematic for, many reasons. But
Sure.
so he's been dealing with the aftermath of that all this week. And I'm going to give him a little bitch of the day because he acted like a child because an internet stranger honestly very mildly provoked him and he couldn't handle it. So
that is definitely little bitch behavior. What could be more validating to a person who calls you out online than to pop off on them like that? Well, my little bitch of the day is also Twitter related. We've called up, I think twice now, Nico LaCastro as a little bitch of the day. And I was thinking, is anyone ever going to beat Nico for being a little bitch on this show? And I definitely have someone who I want to put up for little bitch of the year. And I don't think there'll be a lot of controversy here. I'm nominating Elon Musk for little bitch of the year. Because basically, the behavior you just described for Lamar is Elon's behavior writ large.
Sure, is how he bought Twitter.
Yeah, so it's like a similar thing, but he spent $40+ billion buying and ruining this massive social media platform because he can't handle people making fun of him. Mm-hmm. Which is just, you can't get more small peen energy than that, I don't think.
Yeah. Dripping with insecurity.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. I really don't have anything to add. I just think we need to recognize that this is supreme little bitch behavior.
I agree. I remember when Elon Musk kind of first came around, and people were like, oh, he's this smart guy, he's going to change the world. And it just turns out he's kind of a rich dumbass. Like, I haven't seen much good out of him in a long time, so.
Yeah, I think the best thing that he's done is the SpaceX, which is just in the hands of capable people.
Yep.
That doesn't seem related to him at all.
Yep.
So,
I think those were great little bitches. Some of the best little bitches we've had.
Yeah, aka the worst little bitches that we've had.
Yeah. Tomato.
Okay, we'll take a quick break, and then we will break down the formats of championship sports.
Oh, let's break it down! Why are you so angry?
This is a tier list, and I don't know how much tier list watching you've done, but this is the standard look of it. Mm-hmm. So we have ranks here. This is for the listener as well. We have a list of icons for professional sports and esports, and we have rankings. Normal grades like A, B, C, D, and F. But in tier list style, there's also S tier, which is above A, best of the best, the cream of the crop, special notoriety for that, and an E between D and F because, why shouldn't there be an E between D and F? So we're going to go through this list and talk about pro sports, and what we're thinking about is how good is their playoff championship tournament structured, basically. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I've randomized them, so we're going to start at the top left here with the NHL, work our way down, and then go to the next column.
All right, sounds great.
And the only other note I would add is that some of these we'll probably talk about pretty quickly because there are structures that are just very similar to each other.
Sure.
So let's start with the NHL. First of all, do you watch much NHL?
I don't watch much at all right now, but during college and like post college, I had friends who were into it. I'm in the Chicago area, so the Blackhawks were very popular for a while. I think they've kind of been stinky recently, but I watch it some.
Yeah, I'm very much in the same boat on that one. A lot of these I get into when the playoff season rolls around, and NHL is definitely one of those. Mm-hmm. So the NHL structure, we're going to see this a bunch in this tier list. Basically, over the regular season, you qualified to go into the playoffs. You go against other teams. You play multiple games against each other. Best out of 5 or best out of 7. And that eventually leads to a championship. So, what do you think of this type of structure?
I think it's a pretty... This is like one of the iconic structures, I think. I think this is solid. So they actually bring in 16 out of the 32 teams in the league to the playoff bracket. So half of the teams in the league make the playoffs. And then it's not single elimination. Like you said, it's a series style. So, you have to be able to endure and kind of prove that you're the better team. So I think it's fair and still allows for opportunities for underdogs to go on a run. And it again allows a lot of teams in there in the first place, which is just fun.
Yeah, I think that is kind of a cool, unique thing about NHL in particular, is that even middle of the pack teams can get in there and do something. Mm-hmm. So where would you rank it?
Oh man, where would I rank it?
And keep in mind, we can adjust these as we continue this tier list. So
it feels wrong. It feels wrong to start them at an A, but I honestly would probably put them in that A-B area.
Okay, we'll start them off at an A, and that's more of an overall comment about this big tournament best out of 7 playoff structure, which we're going to see time and time again. Another thing before we get into more of this tier list is I think there's a balance that you have to strike when you're organizing these championship playoff structures between seeing who's the best, like actually evaluating who is the best team or who's the best player, and the fun of the underdog or the random. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I totally agree.
And this kind of structure that we see in NHL and we'll see elsewhere really leans more towards seeing who's the best overall, because you play so many games.
Yep.
Okay, next up. We are in the Intangibles zone after all. Let's talk about disc golf. Mm-hmm. So I guess we can start by describing generally what the structure of disc golf looks like. We've kind of talked about this previously on other episodes.
So are we specifically talking about the World's Championship for disc golf?
I think we can bring that into play. I think we can bring the USDGA championship, because part of it to me, and I'll show my hand here a little bit, this is lower ranking for me because the structure is unclear.
I would agree with that. I mean, if we look at Worlds by itself, right, it's a 5-round tournament, and that's kind of it, right? I mean, it's
just a tournament that occurs over the course of a week.
Right. There's not points that give you a standing or an advantage or anything like that. So while it is an endurance tournament, it's not necessarily representative of the entire year, right?
Correct.
And then the USDGC, which was the most recent championship, is that right?
Yes.
Which was the kind of funky, almost like knockout format where you have to play into each next round, and if you had better standing, you get to skip some of those rounds.
Right. Which also takes place over a single weekend tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just messy and doesn't really have a clear identity. I give it a D.
Yeah, I was thinking D as well. I think it's muddied. It's not clear what's even the most important overall, because it seems like Worlds has the most prestige, even though I don't think it should necessarily. Mm-hmm. Ricky Wysocki, I think, even went on record as saying he didn't care about not winning Worlds this year, even though, I mean, obviously you would like to.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a great structure overall. It's very unclear. Mm-hmm. College football. Speaking of messy, what do you even say about college football structure?
So college football playoffs feels like it feels like an extension to the browser window of college football, if that makes sense. It's it's like this accessory app that's part of it. That's not really part of it. It's just its own thing. It's weird. So there's 4 teams who end up in the playoffs, and there's basically a committee who selects those teams. That committee is giving rankings throughout the second half of the season to kind of determine who those teams are. But it just seems very hand wavy. These are the teams who are going to play. There's a lot of disparity, hopefully that's the right word, in college football in general. There's like the best teams are really fucking good, and then the worst teams are really fucking bad. So it's hard to really make a cohesive playoff structure for the whole thing. I get that. But to whittle it all down into 4 teams that are just selected by, I'm sure, a group of white dudes is, I don't know, not that fun.
Definitely. And then all the other teams just go and play random other championship bowls.
Yeah, we go play the Cheddar Bunnies Mac and Cheese Bowl or whatever.
Right. The Lysol Toilet Bowl. Mm-hmm. So I don't know about you. I want to give this an F, actually.
Oh, wow. See, I find that interesting. It's tough for me. I was almost going to put it above disc golf, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Because there's at least a clear identity to it. They are still giving rankings to teams throughout the second. Like, there's still like some idea to it, and they do have to play a whole round of playoffs to get to the championship.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest knock, is that it's such a small, closed-off thing. When you could have a big tournament with college football. Like, you could have 16 teams, no problem, and that would be fun.
Right. I mean, like, surely NCAA basketball should have all the same problems as football, as far as, like, the size, how many teams there are, and the disparity. And yet, NCAA, spoilers for a future one, has an extremely iconic playoff structure. So I don't give them a free pass just for that.
Well, let's average it out. Let's put it at E, I guess, because that'll be between our areas.
Okay.
And we can adjust later if we feel the need.
We can. I think, as you say, the idea that it's determined by just a panel who says, these are the teams, I think, and there's always controversy about that as well, I really don't like.
Yep. Well, and they didn't even have playoffs officially until recently. This was 2014, I think they implemented this. Prior to that, it was just bowl games.
Right.
And they basically implied that a certain bowl game was the championship game, you know?
Right. These are the 2 best teams we've decided this year, so this is the championship. Ridiculous. All right, E currently for college football. All right, we've done disc golf. How about professional golf?
So, this one's tough for me. I mean, the tournament itself is obviously a fine format, right? You have guys who are going to play 4 rounds over the course of the weekend. There's a cut after the first 2 rounds. You have to play the best out of everybody to win. That's all it comes down to. So I think that is totally fine, wonderful. My beef with the PGA, I don't know if you looked at this at all, but like how you qualify or get into the tournament is kind of interesting.
Okay.
So let me read you who qualifies, the list of qualification criteria to date for this tournament.
Okay.
Every former PGA champion. Winners
so
of
you
the
just get in.
Yep, you're in. You qualify. You don't have to play, but you could. Winners of the last 5 U.S. Opens. Winners of the last 5 Masters. Winners of the last 5 Open Championships. Winners of the last 3 Players Championships. The current senior PGA champion. The low 15 scorers and ties in the previous PGA championship. The low 20 scorers in the last PGA Professional Championship. And then the 70 leaders in official money standings on the PGA Tour. So really, those 70 are like, these are the people in the current standings who make sense to be here. And then they have all this other stuff to bring a bunch of other people in, basically. And
if
give
they
them,
want to.
If they want to. And you can see that, like, within the PGA, they're kind of biasing this towards their own people, if that makes sense. So, like, the PGA Professional Championship, those are people that are essentially, like, paying the PGA to be certified professionals and work at golf clubs. Right. And so if you played in that championship and you scored in the top 20, you're automatically in and you can play in this. You can have a chance at it. So overall, I still think it's fine. Like, again, a lot of the players are from that standings, and at the end of the day, you still have to play well to win it. But I just find it kind of interesting how you can actually get into the tournament.
Yeah, that's a little bit fucky. It seems like there's a lot also of, like, a lot of the people they're allowing in is just about prestige.
It absolutely is. And if you read
if you've ever won one of these, then we will give you this seat forever.
And if you read the history of this and some of the other big tournaments, they're all kind of similar in that way. Like, they kind of share that prestige idea, which is cool, I guess, but it's also like, I don't know, if I won 5 years ago and I didn't play for like 3 years, and then I came and like, I just don't know why it needs to be there, I guess. If you're still playing and you're still good, you should be able to get in, right?
Yeah, I kind of get it though. So I come at this from a slightly different position because once upon a time, Magic the Gathering kind of had something like this, where if you had ever won one of these big things, you just kind of permanently got grandfathered in. And it was exciting because, this awesome player from, 2000 just decided randomly to show up after being out of it for years, and that's exciting. Mm-hmm. And golf has a similar thing where, obviously you want to be in pretty good physical shape, but it's not the same as like a football player. Like, you couldn't come back, this 50-year-old's going to come back and play some football. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, this golfer that everybody loves is coming back. That's exciting. So I kind of like that. I don't know. Where would you put this one?
That's a good question. I think I put it in like the B or C area.
I was thinking C.
Sounds fine to me.
I could be talked up to B, because at the end of the day, I do think this still does a good job of telling you who is the best player, and it still is exciting to watch, and it's pretty clear. Like you say, at the end of the day, the top 70 earners are really the ones competing. Mm-hmm. So all this other stuff is like frill.
Yep. And this is, again, specific to the PGA Championship. And golf has its own whole FedEx Cup Championship, right, which is like a real legitimate full season thing for the players too. So, from a pure like tournament standpoint, I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, NBA has a very similar structure to NHL. Mm-hmm. It has a long season. It culminates in best of 7 playoff structure. Is there any reason not to put it in A with the NHL?
Nope, it's almost identical. They actually have 2 fewer teams, I think.
They have like a kind of a play-in phase.
Yeah, but it's very similar, and yeah, I agree. NBA playoffs are always fun to watch.
You were mentioning watching NHL in college, and I always got a big kick in the spring. It's finals time. You're wrapping up your classes. You're excited to be wrapping things up. The weather's getting nice. You're getting ready for summer break. And there's just all kind of great sports going on, including the NBA playoffs, Mm-hmm. So, love it. A. Tennis. Tennis is kind of an odd duck in this whole state of affairs, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I'd put it a bit similar to golf. And it probably depends on which tournament you're talking about specifically, right?
Yeah.
I guess at the end of the day, do you want to talk about like a season, or do you want to talk about like a tournament? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess we're kind of thinking about the sport as a whole. Mm-hmm. So the reason I say tennis is an odd duck is there is no like each year there is a tournament or some sort of thing that says here is the tennis champion. That doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Instead, there are 4 major events every year. Mm-hmm. And the best tennis player is just the one who wins most consistently, basically. Mm-hmm. You've got the Australian Open, the French, Wimbledon, and the U.S. Open. And then lots of other tournaments besides that. But it really just comes down to these 4. And the best players win the Grand Slam. That is, to win all of those. And the best of the best win it in a single year, which is very difficult to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I like it. I think, like I said, it's kind of similar to the golf. Well, no, I'm not even going to say that. It's similar to it in like the prestige a little bit, I guess, in some of the tournaments. Yeah. But the actual tournament itself is a single elimination setup. You play, depending on men or women's, best of 7 or best of 5 sets or best of 3 sets, whatever it is, and
5 and 3, yeah.
You just have to win as many as you can. So I like that. I looked into the qualifiers on this too, and there are some like wild card selections, but a lot fewer than golf. So I would put it potentially at the B tier, I guess. I think it does leave opportunity for bad days, if that makes sense. Whereas I think the NHL and NBA playoff structures allow for the most consistent team to really, truly win out.
Yeah, and also with tennis, it's an individual sport at the highest level. And if you just get a slight injury one day during the tournament, you're done.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's very interesting. I like that in tennis there are just 4 big tournaments, and it's not really about winning some grand championship. It's just like, here are just the 4 big things, and you just get a chance every year to play at these. It's really exciting. It's cool to see the best players come out. I kind of think this is what disc golf wants to be as well, where it's just like, here are, like, there are tons and tons of disc golf tournaments every weekend, but here are the ones that people really care about for whatever reason. Like, Worlds is one that people just care about, even though there's not anything really to differentiate it. For the big Grand Slams, a big part of it are the surfaces. Wimbledon is the grass tournament. French Open is the clay tournament, the big one. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think that's just kind of neat. I think I would love to see disc golf do that, where it's like, these are the big tournaments because these are the best courses. Or this one's a big tournament because you play on, 2 or 3 different courses that test different abilities or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
All right. So we'll put it at B for now. How about Overwatch?
Overwatch
About a year ago, we were talking about it a lot.
It's true. Overwatch is interesting. I think their like championship bracket is pretty unique. It's pretty interesting. The way it works is they have a winner's bracket, and it's the best 8 teams out of the 20 total in the league. And basically, if you lose, you go down into this loser's bracket. So all 8 teams play in the first round, and the losers pop down to the loser's bracket, and then they have to play, and those winners move on, and whoever loses from there goes down and plays the winners of those losers. So basically, you're going to end up with one team who won everything until the championship match, and then you're going to have another team that had to, wherever they lost out in the winner's bracket, play through the full loser's bracket to get there. Which I think is cool. It's just a unique structure, and there's definitely some chances for weird things to happen. I think having the kind of double elimination is fun, right? It gives you a second chance no matter what happens, even if you have a bad first match. Right. I feel like it's just really hard to compare this to the other sports in my head. Like, I don't really know. I like the double elimination aspect. But kind of beyond that, I don't know what else to say, I guess.
I think the only thing, because I do like that it's kind of trying to combine the fun of brackets and like the risk of that with like, okay, but you get a second chance, and so it's not just a one and done situation, but it kind of muddies things where it's like, it's harder to explain to someone how it works. Mm-hmm. Overwatch also has like the championships leading into that final bracket are really weird, where it's just like, we just play we play a big championship bracket every few months. Yeah,
their whole playoff like structure. Well, I don't even know if playoff's the right word, but their whole like mid-season tournament structure is kind of funky in general.
Yeah. So I'm not super in love with that either. I think I would put this at like a C.
I would agree with that. I still think it's better overall representation than the disc golf or college football tournaments are.
Yeah, I agree. MLB. I want to put this also at A, unless you have strong objections.
Nope, very similar. They do a 12-team, 6 per league playoff, and they do series, and it seems very fair, and they've been doing it for a long time, so they've made small changes throughout the years, and it's solid.
It's very solid, and it is the longest season in sports, and so it makes sense to me, even more than the NBA and the NHL, that they have a very long, protracted playoff structure.
Yeah.
All right, League of Legends.
My only note for this one is fucking complicated, so I'll let you take it from there.
Okay, so let me put it this way. League of Legends is divided into different regions. So North America has its own league. Europe has its own league. I think the best point of comparison is like FIFA, actually, which is going on right now. Like every country has its own way of playing soccer, right? Or football, if you prefer. League is the same way. Every region has its own structure. And then they send their best teams to Worlds. However they want to determine who those best teams are. So Worlds works where there is a group stage where teams play against each other in a group of, let's say, 4, round robin, a bunch of games, and then the best 2 teams from each group move forward into a knockout stage. And in the knockout stage, you're playing best of 5 games. And then you move on, and then there's a champion crowned. So it's actually not that complicated as far as the world structure. It's very if you looked at the full thing of like, here's each region's regular season, their playoff structure, that leads into play-ins and group stage, and then the final bracket. It's complicated. but Worlds itself is like, there's a group stage and there's a knockout stage. Mm-hmm. So I know what I think about it. What do you think about it?
I don't know. It seems fine. B, C?
I'll give it a B. I want to say A because I do get really excited about it, and I think it is pretty straightforward.
Give it an A. I mean, I have no authority on this when it comes down to it. It's hard for me to speak, I guess, on how fair or how... how fair or enjoyable it is to watch. I've only watched a handful of league matches, probably.
I'm willing to knock it down to a B. I mean, I think it does matter how explainable the thing is. Mm-hmm. Does matter. Like, if somebody's trying to get into the sport, you want the tournament to be easy to explain.
Yeah.
I think. So that does matter. So I'll knock it down to a B. The NFL. We were talking about the NFL earlier.
I very much like the NFL playoff structure. It's 12 teams that play. In the playoffs, you get 3 wild cards per conference and 3 divisional winners, with 1 final divisional winner who gets a bye. So, it's single elimination. So if you have a bad day, that's too bad. You're out anyway. But it's usually exciting. It goes over the course of several weeks, and the Super Bowl is always fun to watch for me. So I like it. I think it's hard to say it's an A tier because it doesn't have the same. Like I said, if you have a bad day, then that's it. You're done for. So I almost think B tier is more where it belongs.
Very interesting.
But I like it in general.
Can I make an argument that this should be an S tier?
Oh yeah, bring it on.
So I think, one, it's a pretty unique structure. Of all these sports, no other sport plays as few games. Mm-hmm. I was talking with my friend Sally Tamarkin recently, and Sally is a big basketball fan, a big Sixers fan, and they were saying they like the NBA tournament, but they love the NFL tournament. They love that it's 16 weeks, 16 games, you go to the playoffs, there's the championship, boom. It's just so clean and neat. Mm-hmm. And to me, the NFL is like the perfect balance between those two extremes of testing who's the best and allowing random chance / a good day / the underdog to come through. Because if you do make the underdog run, you have to play well a lot to get to the Super Bowl and win it. Mm-hmm. But it can happen.
Yeah, you have to play several more games potentially than someone else who you're playing there.
So I think it's mostly by accident because football's just such a rough game. You can't play that many games per season. Mm-hmm. But I think it's kind of perfect.
I have always loved, like your friend Sally said, the fact that, and now it's muddied a little bit with a game on Thursday and Monday, but there's one of those each, right? And then on Sunday, you've got everything else. And I've always loved Sundays. You can sit down and watch just football. You know, you can watch your team, you can watch other teams. It's on, it's happening. And you don't have to, it's not like the MLB where if you want to watch your team every single game, you have to watch them like every 1 or 2 days, basically.
Right, if you want to watch all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I would give it S tier just for my own personal enjoyment, for sure.
Well, it's our podcast, so I think if we both say S, it's an S tier.
That's fair enough.
And the last one I have here is the NCAA basketball March Madness.
I mean, this has to be an S tier, right? This is one of the most fun tournaments that I've ever watched in general. I remember way back in junior high when Illinois was great and they were making a run a couple years in a row, and just watching that was incredible. Yeah, it's a big-ass tournament, single elimination. It's called March Madness. There's crazy upsets every year. It's exciting, and it's not like totally unpredictable, right? There are upsets, but to get to the actual championship game, you have to win a lot of games, like you said about the NFL. Even more so here.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think it's an easy S tier. It is one of the most exciting tournaments in the world. And to me, the only thing that's surprising about it is it does admit so much randomness. Mm-hmm. Like, random teams can make a run and take out people who have played well all season because you're just playing one game over the course of an hour, you know?
Yep. One game where you score 70 or less points typically, right, in college.
Right.
So.
But I think that's why people love it. It is just madness. Mm-hmm. Like, it's I can't argue with the fun factor. It is the most fun there is. Well, and
with sports betting only getting more and more popular, you can bet your ass that March Madness will only get more and more popular.
I like that. You could bet your ass. That's a good pun.
I totally meant to do that.
All right, beautiful. Well, I think this is an undisputable tier list, and I can't wait to see people agree with us online.
I assume we will only get positive comments, so looking forward to that.
All right, which brings us at last to everyone's favorite segment, Birdie, Bogey, or Par. We're going to start off with wearing earbuds while playing pro disc golf. I've seen a fair amount of pros do this. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Is that a birdie, bogey, or par?
Oof. That's a good question. I think it's a par to wear earbuds while playing pro disc golf. I think it's a bit of a bogey on the DGPT, whatever the hell it is, for, I guess, allowing it. I think in a sport where there's potentially, faults being called or things that need to be told to people at different points, it is a little odd.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I'd give it a par overall because I know that, these people play and practice wearing earbuds, listening to stuff, so they want to be in that state-based learning, mm-hmm. and be in the same groove they are when they're practicing. But, I don't know, it definitely, you can't look cool being on coverage with earbuds in, I don't think.
No, definitely not. I mean, you look like you're taking a business call while you're, like, on the course or something. It's just kind of weird.
Right. All right, we'll give that one a par. Next up, Thanksgiving turkey versus other proteins on Turkey Day.
Versus other proteins. Man, I think a good Thanksgiving turkey is a birdie. I don't think there's any question about it. I don't really discriminate on my proteins. If you serve me a good ham on Thanksgiving, I'll eat that, no problem. If you want to serve me a steak or a bratwurst, I don't really care. If it's cooked well, I'll enjoy it. But yeah, Thanksgiving turkey, I'll give it a birdie.
Yes, I would as well. I only bring it up because I think over the last, 5 years or so, people who want to be hip are like, ooh, turkey is not a very good bird. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand that in the least little bit.
I think a lot of people have just never had good turkey, right? I mean, it's very easy to get just dry, crappy white meat turkey that's flavorless and not good.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know where you're getting your turkey or how you're making it. Staying on the theme of protein, Double G Craft Jerky, $10.95 for 2.5 ounces.
Oh wow, that's expensive. I've never eaten it, so it's hard for me to give it a real rating. I guess I'll give it a par for now. I'll hold out until I can taste some. There was an edit I saw someone do to one of the Double G Craft Jerky commercials, where they bleeped out people in various points when they were talking about Double G's jerky. So it made it sound like they were talking about his cock or something like that. And that I would give an absolute birdie to.
That's a very good rating. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a stand here, and I'm going to give this a bogey. I mean, how good can jerky be? I like jerky, but Jesus Christ, this is pricey.
Well, I'd like to see, 2.5 ounces. The next time I'm in the store, I'll look at beef jerky packages and see if there's a comparable size. Because, yeah, I mean, I could buy a fucking burrito bowl for that.
Yeah, exactly. I can go to Chipotle and be very happy. All right, next up. Overwatch 2. We haven't talked about it. I have played Overwatch 2 now.
Oh, you have? All right.
I have.
Oh, man. I feel kind of like a piece of crap this week. I'm going to give it a birdie so far based on my amount of playtime and my reading in the community. I had fun when I played it the other night, actually. It was a little different. It was a little new, but not so new and different that it felt like I was playing a different game. I only have played probably 8 quick play games, and I'm convinced that when you take a break and you play quick play, the game just throws you into some really easy games to get your hype up and keep you playing. So I think I'm riding high from that.
I would 100% agree with that latter assessment, that it gives you some softballs when you get back into it. So Jaren visited on yesterday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we played some Overwatch 2. I had to download it for the occasion and jumped into some quick play. And yeah, it was like I was playing against toddlers, I'm convinced. Or they threw me into a bot game without telling me.
I imagine it's a combination of the game doesn't quite know your rating anymore, and there's a new player base, right? It's a new release of the game. A lot more people bought it. So we probably are playing 8-year-olds and kicking their asses. I don't know.
Yeah. I want to give it a par. I did enjoy myself, but at the end of the day, it is just Overwatch.
Yeah.
It's Overwatch against tanks that are real pieces of shit. All right. Next up, Mike Wozniak's mustache. Speaking of Taskmaster.
I mean, yeah, that's a birdie. That's
Good birdie.
It's as good in its own way as Aaron Gossage's mustache.
Definitely. But what do you think of this? Mike Wozniak without the mustache.
I mean, that's still a birdie. He's an attractive man.
He's a very handsome man. That is a chiseled jawline.
Uh-huh, yep. Makes me want to shave my mustache, see what I got going on.
Next up, in general, the Disc Golf 3-pack starter set.
So, in general, I mean, I think it's great. I think I've played with the Innova starter sets before. I don't know how other brands compare, but I'm sure if you buy one of these from one of the reputable brands, if you do Innova, if you do Discraft, if you do, I don't know if Dynamic Discs has them or MVP or any of those, but if you get one of these sets from any of them and you've never played before, that is a great place to start. Absolute birdie.
Good birdie.
Yep, I would agree. It's a good way to tell people, hey, you need to get discs that aren't just like free discs you get from your local bank or an Ultimate Frisbee disc that you have in the back of your car, and it will teach you the basics of the game pretty effectively at a low price point.
Yep. You know? And honestly, if you get these and you like the game but you don't like it that much, you never really have to buy discs again until you lose these. Like, you could just play with these forever.
Yeah. If you play a few times a year.
Right.
They'll definitely last you. Next up, the Watchdog of the Old Lords from Bloodborne.
Let me find the quote. Boys, shut the fuck up. Y'all be capping too much on this app. Motherfucker never smelt a Bloodborne field. Never did shit but eat dick. Yeah, no, I don't really like the Watchdog of the Old Lords. He's a turd. But it felt pretty good to beat him.
Yeah, that's true. I guess how do you want to evaluate him? Like, if you looked at him as a boss fight.
As a boss fight, absolute bogey, sucked, pain in the ass.
But the feeling you got was solid.
Was fleeting, but absolutely euphoric.
Yeah, I would give it a bogey. I don't think he does much in the lore. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to make of this, like,
No.
Alligator fire dog.
Well, and we're in the fucking Chalice dungeons anyway, so throw the lore stuff a little bit out the window, right? We're just grinding to get to the final boss and some consumable shit to make other shit.
Yeah, but also, like, the arena sucks because it's a Chalice dungeon.
Yep.
This guy just jumps on you and one-shots you,
The
which sucks.
amount of one-shots that are out there. Oh, and I guess we should be specific, right? This was the Watchdog of the Old Lords in, like, the Cursed Defiled Chalice dungeon where you have 1 HP and you're enfeebled or something. I don't know. It's terrible.
And we did it co-op, so we would both take more damage even than that.
And he was beefier, right?
Yes. So, a real nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
And finally, a new one for Birdie, Bogey, Par. This is like a fuck, marry, kill situation. I'm going to give you 3 options, and you have to give one each: Birdie, Bogey, or Par. Big Berry, Big Sexy, or Big Sexy Berry.
Oh, man. Okay. This one's tough.
It is, yeah.
This one is tough. I really like Nate Sexton in general. I guess what I would say is I would give the Birdie to the Big Sexy Berry. I'll bring them all in. They're my Birdie crew. I enjoy having any or all of these guys on the broadcast. I would put Big Sexy as my par. Because again,
par.
I like Nate Sexton over Paul Ulibarri as far as commentary goes. And then I would give my bogey to Big Berry.
Even though we like Big Berry.
Even though I would love to listen to any one, all 3 of them. Go play disc golf. If you guys are listening, feel free to invite us out to a round. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about these guys.
I had the exact same ranking, so I'm glad we reached consensus on that. All right. This has been Birdie, Bogey, or Par.
Bum, bum, ba-da, bum. Did you see there's a picture of Big Germ with a giant hat on his head?
No.
You should Google it.
What a way to go out this episode.
This is the picture that should have been. Well, that's not quite Big Germ, but that is a big hat. Disc. Oh man.
Disc golf.
I swear it was on Instagram today. Yeah, look up Innova Discs Instagram big hat.
That is a big hat.
And his face, his mug underneath it is pretty priceless.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yep. Big Germ and a big hat. It made me laugh.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And what an amazing episode it was, Matt.
Hey, what's the time? 58 minutes and 28 seconds. Incredible.
Who would have thunk? And what a way to round out our official 100th episode.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know.
It's not, but,
No.
you know, sounds cool.
Our official 10,000th episode.
Join us for the next 10,000.